money. It's a non-disclosure agreement, totally legal, totally common. Everyone has it. And what happened is a non-disclosure agreement with this person, I guess other people, but it's totally honest. You're allowed to make the payment. You don't have to make it, and you can make it any way you want. It's a non-disclosure agreement. And he signed that. And there was nothing wrong with signing it. And this should have been a non-case. And everybody said it was a non-case, including Bragg. Bragg said, until I ran for office. And then they saw the polls. I was leading the Republicans. I was leading the Democrats. I was leading everybody. And all of a sudden, they brought it back. It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And true. It's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's pleasant. It's very bad for family. It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one. But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for our Constitution. The money that was paid legally. There was nothing illegal. In fact, the lawyer in creating the NDA, because at that time he was a fully accredited lawyer. He wasn't a fixer. I never thought of him as a fixer. The media called him a fixer, or the prosecutors called him a fixer. He was a lawyer, and he was fairly good. Later on, I didn't like what he did. I didn't like, for instance, I didn't like that when I became president, he went around and made deals with companies. When I heard that, he was gone. He was gone. And he had payments coming to him, and a lot of this involved things that are very simple. There was nothing wrong. This was standard stuff.
He's talking about Michael
standard
Cohen
stuff.
right now.
Everything involved was standard. There was no crime here.
Limits.
In fact, I just watched a couple of the reports. You watched Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Greg Jarrett. You look at all of these people. Mark Levin. All very talented people, great people, many more. And they don't know me, essentially. They don't know me. They're legal scholars and experts. But I look at them. I watched Turley this morning saying, there's no crime here. Everybody says there's no crime here, except for this DA that's got the city out of control with crime. It's absolutely out of control. So we have an NDA that was signed. We have legal expenses. And here's the thing, on legal expenses, you have 100 where they say, they do a charge. I just recorded this out. Falsification of business records in the first degree. It sounds so bad. I said, wow. And even my own lawyers, I get very upset with them because they don't say what it is. They say, falsification of legal.
Mine wasn't bad.
Records
Just a quick ultrasound. Hope yours goes just as well. Nice to have to be able to get out of work for a couple hours just to drive up here.
This was very old. They could have brought this 7 years ago instead of bringing.
That's U of M Hospital up there on the left. University of Michigan Hospital.
Now let me give you the good news. The good news is, last night, we just got a report this morning, in the history of politics, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, somebody will find that I'm wrong, maybe, but I don't think so. They raised with small money donors,
What the fuck happened
meaning
to
like
this mirror?
$21, $42,
Somebody
$53,
moved my mirrors.
$38, a record $39 million in about a 10-hour period.
Wow.
No, think of it.
Wow.
I like those people.
$39 million in 10 hours? Biden's having a heart attack right now.
I guess it's backfiring. Now, I don't know. I'd rather not have it happen. I don't want to have it backfire. I don't want to win this thing legitimately, not because they were stupid and did things that they shouldn't be doing. They shouldn't have brought this case. They were saying it this morning. This is a case that should not have been brought. I watched Andy McCarthy say this is a case that should not have been brought. And that was this morning. But they all say that. Every legal scholar has said it. And these are great people. They really understand the law. The other thing, a poll just came out. The first poll, I don't know, maybe others will be bad, but a poll just came out a little while ago. The Daily Mail. Does anybody read the Daily Mail? It's very good. They have a good poll. At least I like it today. And the Daily Mail just came out with a poll, and it has Trump up 6 points in the last 12 hours. 6 points. 6 points since this happened. Who thought this could happen? Because the people of our country know it's a hoax. They know it's a hoax. They get it. You know, they're really smart, and it's really something. So we're going to be appealing this scam. We're going to be appealing it on many different things. He wouldn't allow us to have witnesses. He wouldn't allow us to talk. He wouldn't allow us to do anything. The judge was a tyrant. And you got to see that with Bob Costello. A fine man. I've never seen anything like it. And neither has anybody that was in that courthouse where he
Jesus,
demanded
what's this
that
guy
the
doing?
courthouse be cleared. Now, the good news is most of the people in the courthouse...
What lane are you going in from, dude?
And anybody that was in the media, if you're fair, you'll say,
Fucking moron.
that was anger. That was crazed. He was crazed. And the reason that Bob Costello acted a little bit upset, which I think he has a right to, was that every question he was being asked was being objected to by the other side and sustained by the judge. Sustained. I think he did it many times. I don't know what the number, many times. Even I was sitting there saying, and these were basic questions. And I never saw anybody treated that way by a judge. And I've been treated very badly by two other judges also, because it's all the same thing. And it all comes out of the White House. Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. He's the worst president in the history of our country. The most incompetent. He's the dumbest president we've ever had. He's the dumbest president, most incompetent president, and he's the most dishonest president we've ever had. And so many of he's a Manchurian candidate. You take a look at the way he treats China, Russia, so many others. You know, it was dead. He comes in and he approves it. And he gets $3.5 million, meaning $3.5 million is paid to the family, his family, from the mayor of Moscow's wife. And I said, where did that come from? Nobody wants to talk about it. But he's a very big danger to our country. And the only way they think they can win this election is by doing exactly what they're doing right now. Win it in the courts because they can't win it at the ballot box. So we're going to show them that we're going to fight. It's actually, I don't know, it's something where I'm wired in such a way that a lot of people would have gone away a long time ago. They would have gone away after impeachment hoax number 1. That was a total hoax. I had great support from the Republican Party, though. Then you had impeachment hoax number 2. And then they formed the committee. How about they formed the committee of thugs? The J6 committee of thugs. And they took their records and they destroyed all of the records after the committee was abandoned because those records were great for us. Now, can you imagine if Republicans did that? Everybody would have been in jail by now. Think of it, the unselect, I call it the unselect, they call it select committee, I call it the unselect committee of thugs. They meet, it's 100% Democrat and 2 past Republicans that are no longer Republicans, that are no longer
The old
in
fake
business
growing
anymore.
pole, huh? Nice.
But it was all Democrats and 2 wayward Republicans. Liz Cheney and crying Adam Kinzinger. He cries every time he goes on television. He's the most emotional human being I think I've ever seen. And that was our representatives. These 2 people were our rep. So they had all this stuff that they're leaking. And then when it came time to look at the records, like where the police said and the Capitol Guard said that I supplied, think of it, that I recommended as many soldiers or National Guard as you
Yeah, I
want.
did see that.
10,000. If you had 500,
Unindoctrinated
you
shared it.
They wouldn't have been a J6, but Nancy Pelosi and the group didn't want it. Anyway, so they have testimony to all of that I did not attack the Secret Service agent in the front of the car. You know, these are strong people. And I supposedly went to the driver and I grabbed him around the neck. And he rebuffed me. And then I went to the other guy, who I think is a black belt in karate. And he's slightly younger than me. Maybe 35 years, 40 years, 50 years. And I grabbed him around the neck and said, he's a black belt in karate. They know how to get somebody from around their neck.
Take me to the cabin.
They would have gone like this, and that would be the end of that.
Clavicle girl, Cassidy Hutchinson.
Actually, I had a friend that said, you shouldn't dispute that. That makes you look like the toughest cookie we've ever seen. You should have let that go on.
Taken over.
But the fact is, it never happened. It was all made up. And that was proven to be made up. It proved to be a false story. And they deleted and destroyed all of that.
Oh, God, here we go.
information.
Pride Month.
Every ounce of it.
Any church,
We're
Christian
dealing
church
with a
that
corrupt
celebrates Pride
government.
Month.
We have a corrupt
It's not a real
country.
Christian
Our
church, I'm
elections are
sorry.
corrupt. Our borders are open.
Got nothing wrong
Our
with
borders
gays.
are going to be closed very soon. November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. Now, when I say that, because my people are always saying, do this, because we're fighting for America, DonaldJTrump.com. I hope everybody watching right now, DonaldJTrump.com, because it really makes a difference. They have a lot of money on the other side. I don't know where they get it. Nobody knows where they get it. But for some
Billionaires,
reason they get
Zuckerberg,
money.
Soros.
But they're not on the side of our country. In many ways, I think they hate our country. Who on earth can want open borders where people are allowed to pour in from countries unknown, from places unknown, from languages that we haven't even heard of? We have people sitting in schools with languages where very few people have ever even heard of these languages. It's not like Spanish or French or Russian. Languages unknown. We have people coming from corners of the globe, and many of them are not good people. Many terrorists, record levels of terrorism, record levels of terrorists have come into our country. Record. They've never seen anything like it. You know, there was a report that in 2019, I don't believe this, by the way, the media gave it, and it was good for me, believe it or not. They said in 2019, there were no terrorists recorded that came into our country. I don't believe that. I don't think that's possible. But 2019 was a Trump year. I don't believe that could be possible. But they said no terrorists came into our country. So let's say it was close. But now record levels of terrorists, record levels, the highest level we've ever seen of terrorists, are pouring into our country. You have China with, just in the last few months, 29,000 people came in, and I looked at them on a line, and they look like perfect soldiers. They're almost all male, from 19 to 25. It looks like a recruiting exercise. They have beautiful tents. They have propane stoves. They have cell phones, the best you can buy. I said, what's going on? It looks like they're building an army right in our country. Now, I don't think that would happen, right? We're losing our country. And I really think that this is an event, what took place yesterday with this judge. Look, we have conflicted, but he's a crooked judge. And you'll understand that. And I say that knowing that it's very dangerous for me to say that. And I don't mind, because I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to save our country and to save our Constitution. I don't mind. So thank you. So we will continue the fight. We're going to make America great again. Very simple. When people fight MAGA, they say, we're going to fight. I watch Biden. We're going to fight MAGA. We're going to stop MAGA. It's make America great again. That's all it is. MAGA. Make America great again. Our country's in serious trouble. We owe $36 trillion. We were energy independent for the first time ever. And now we're begging Venezuela for oil. One statistic you have to hear. Venezuela was crime-ridden. Caracas, the cities, crime-ridden. 3 years ago. They just reported a 72% drop in crime in the last year. because all of their criminals, most of them, and the rest are coming in now, the ones that didn't come in Venezuela, their prisons have been emptied into the United States. Their criminals and drug dealers have been taken out of the cities and brought into the United States. And that's true with many other countries. The Congo has just released a lot of people from jail. Congo, Africa, just released a lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States of America. This is what's happening to our country, and it's not sustainable by anyone. Little things like our kids can't have a Little League game anymore because you have tents and you have migrants living on the fields. That's the least of it. People are taking over our luxury hotels, migrants, and yet our veterans, our great veterans, are living on the streets like dogs. They're living on the streets. But migrants are living in luxury hotels and cities all over our country run by Democrats. So
Leaf blower guys here.
it's my honor to be doing this. It really is. It's a very unpleasant thing, to be honest. But it's
Yes,
a great,
it is.
great honor. And we're gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna do it, and the support has been. That's why I mentioned the number of $39 million. That's why I mentioned we're up 6 points. And we went up a lot over the last month because everybody saw it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged trial. But we're going to make America great again. We're going to make it better than ever before. November 5th, remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President! Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, my friends. So it looks like that is it for the press conference. No questions. And
President
Trump is
wrapping up
now off. That took place at Trump Tower. And he spoke for about, what was that? About 30 minutes or so, give or take. Very interesting speech. He made a big announcement today. My goodness. $39 million in 10 hours is a lot of donos. That's a lot of super chats that came in. And so, very good news for the president. A couple other quick points on this. We're a little worried about that gag order. So, as he was speaking, and some people were commenting on this, we're hearing him talk about Michael Cohen. We heard him talk about Robert Costello. Question is, was that a violation of the gag order? So, as he was speaking, I pulled up the revised gag order. This is the new one that came out. He entered this one on April 1st. This was the one, this is the one that came out on April 1st. And you can see this is the second amended gag order. And here are the specifics of it. So this is still in effect. Okay, Trump came out yesterday, or actually this morning, and came out and confirmed this is still in effect. He said, I can't talk about this stuff, so... And then he proceeded to kind of talk about it. So here is what it says. I don't know that he's in automatic hot water. So let's look. Here is what he is directed to refrain from doing. Making or directing others to make public statements. Making or directing others to make public statements. So he came out today, and we have not read the transcripts from yesterday's proceedings. So I don't know if there was some lifting of the gag or anything like that happened. We were just going off of what was being reported. So if there is something in the transcripts about some modifications of this, we're commenting on it without that knowledge. But as it stands, as far as we know, this is still in effect, at least through sentencing, and then he'll probably be on probation pending appeal. So here is what this looks like is still in effect. Making or directing others to make public statements. Now, Trump actually did that today, right? He came out and said, I can't talk about it, but you can. So the government might come out and say that was directing other people to make a statement. But it's about known or reasonably foreseeable witnesses. So that's over. So we don't really need to worry about reasonably foreseeable because we don't have any more witnesses. So how about make public statements about known witnesses concerning their potential participation in the investigation, which is now done, or in this criminal proceeding. So could a government prosecutor read it as either making a statement about a known witness.
I dressed down. It's
concerning
Casual
their
Friday, buddy.
participation in this criminal proceeding, which is not over.
But hey,
Robert
prayers with you,
Costello,
brother.
Michael
I hope they treat you
Cohen,
right.
Maybe Michael Cohen will have.
They don't.
for
Let us
example,
know.
A sentencing letter. Maybe something might impact what he says at sentencing or does at sentencing, and so he's still technically involved in the criminal proceeding until Trump is sentenced. Maybe the pretrial services who does their sentencing review, a sentencing report, pre-sentencing report. Maybe they want to talk to Cohen. Maybe they have other things they want to do. So could a government prosecutor say Trump made a statement about Cohen in the middle of this criminal proceeding? Yeah, of course they could. I think probably are typing it up right now. Making or directing.
Yeah, he's
others
pretty
to
much
make
daring
public
the
statements
judge
about
to
lawyers in the case,
put him in
other than the
contempt
DA.
again.
Members of the court staff, I don't think we heard that today. Family members of counsel, staff members of the court, DA, if they're made to interfere. And then this one, of course, is done, right? So subsection C is over, because making or directing others to make public statements about any prospective juror, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. I think actually this is probably still in play. And he didn't really comment on the jurors today. Making or directing others to make public statements about any prospective juror, so they're no longer prospective, they were the jurors, or any juror in this criminal proceeding, which is not over yet. Not until the sentence is over. So, I'm sure the judge was listening to that.
Oh.
I'm sure Alvin Bragg is probably preparing a motion, and the judge still has time to sentence Trump, and they might move just like we've seen in other filings here for a modification of release conditions, or to accelerate sentencing, or for another contempt proceeding. So, interesting thing that we just saw there today. So Trump came out and he spoke on this, and we know his chances on appeal are good, but his address to America explained a recap of everything that he witnessed. He talked about the judge, about how he's biased. He talked about some other witnesses, very clearly Michael Cohen and Robert Costello. And what we didn't hear much of was whether there were any policy changes. So is Trump going to do anything in the new administration, or is the campaign going to be focused on anything? It was more of a recap, talking about some other policy issues that he's interested in, like the border and why Joe Biden is incompetent and the usual campaign fare. But big news, $39 million in 10 hours. That's why the website went down. A lot of people interested in supporting him now that may have been on the sidelines previously. They're no longer staying seated. And of course, we are going to be here as we continue our coverage of this case. Trump announcing he is going to appeal. That's going to be great news. And so if you enjoyed this video, be sure you check out our next segment, because we're talking about what's happening in Florida, and that's just as important now that this trial's over. That's where a big part of our attention is going next. All right, so that was the announcement from Trump. And now we can turn our attention back to Florida. So just to recap and to sort of segue this thing, not such a hard stop, but Trump, we got some updates from him. Now we know that in Florida, we had just finished reading the emails, the exhibits back and forth. And so as a recap, remember that Todd Blanche responded to the government and just says, okay, well, you're deciding to file this motion without complying with the rules. That's your decision. So then Todd Blanche and the defense responded. And so let's see what they said. Back over to Special Counsel Jack Smith and the Florida Oompa Loompa, Jay Bratt. Here is what the defense said. All right,
really?
Jay. And dear Judge Cannon, this is Trump's motion to
Not a military school, but a very
and
tough
to request sanctions based on
parochial
what they
school.
Submitted. They say, well, Jack Smith is here. They're seeking to impose an unconstitutional gag on Trump based on some vague and unsupported assertions about some law enforcement personnel, FBI agents, whose names have been redacted from public filings. And for the reasons set forth below, well, Jack Smith's office is violating the rules. And so the court should strike the motion entirely, make civil contempt findings as to all government attorneys who even participated in the decision to file this, and impose sanctions on them after holding evidentiary hearings about the decision to willfully disregard your prior procedures. Not happy. Saying following a string of procedural abuses, Judge Cannon, and misrepresentations, Jack Smith, over the course of many months, this court has admonished them. The court admonished Jack's office to just calm down. Just calm down. You guys are like lunatics. Far from it, Jack Smith's office contacted defense counsel about filing a motion at 5:30 p.m. on a Friday evening before Memorial Day, as Trump and his counsel prepared to deliver the defense summation in People versus Trump on the morning of Tuesday, May 28th. That's the New York case. We responded immediately, on average less than 10 minutes. Todd Blank. Gotta stop by. But Jack's office declined our request. We said we'd meet him on Monday on a holiday. All we wanted to do was meet with Trump. But Jack's office did not specifically identify any of the evidence they cited until about 15 minutes before they filed the motion. And as with prior filings by Jack's office, the motion fails to identify any direct evidence of the purported safety risks. Just Trump is dangerous. Jack's office did not even dare seek emergency relief in the filing, as no relief is warranted. Thus, there was no basis for rushing to file it. They didn't mark it emergency. This is bad faith behavior. It's plain and simple. Saying, Your Honor, the misconduct by Jack's office is even more worthy of sanctions in light of the context here. The motion is extraordinary. It's unprecedented. And it's unconstitutional censorship. The motion unjustly targets President Trump's campaign speech while he's the leading candidate. It also treads on extremely problematic ground, because they're asking for a prior restraint that's different from the other gag orders. Here, they seek as a condition and condition Trump's liberty on his conformance with Jack Smith and what Jack Smith thinks about the case. And they want the probation office to mediate the disputes between these two people, saying for the purpose of this application, that all matters because there is no reasonable dispute here. Pursuant to the local rules, they did not meet and confer with us. They didn't. Instead, they persisted with a troubling pattern of pursuing media coverage rather than justice. They wanted to file the motion so they could get out to the media that they're trying to gag Trump for being illegal. Now, such an approach by prosecutors sworn to uphold the law should have no place in this courtroom. And so we need consequences. Here's what happened. At 5:30 p.m., Jay Bratt said, we're going to file this motion later. We already read through those emails. 10 minutes later, we notified him. We said, what? 5:30 on a Friday, we object. There's no basis for your suggestion that anyone's facing an imminent danger, and so how about we meet you on Monday? Now, they responded 1 hour later because they're slowpokes. He made a vague reference, Jay Bratt. He says, oh, I don't know, something happened. He filed, there's danger. And at 6:55, Trump's defense responded. He said, you've completely failed to meet and confer. You haven't identified any of these statements, and the local rules require you to do it. And finally, concerned that they plan to file the motion, we asked them to include the statement that we read previously, saying you guys are total losers. Now, in response, they demeaned counsel. They said, I thought you were smarter than that. What, you can't read, Todd? You can't read his Truth Social posts? And they mocked the assertion that Jack's office should specifically identify the statements. Why should we find them? In Jay Bratt's view, it was incumbent on the defense to discern the social media posts and to discern the campaign emails that they're relying on, but nevertheless, he then attached them to the email. He also informed the defense that he would not include our position, but he says, we'll just summarize it for you. Then 15 minutes later, they filed the motion. The office failed to note that they first contacted.
Let's pass them doing less than the speed limit, you fucking asshole.
They declined our invitation to meet on Memorial Day.
Fucking Tennessee.
Now, despite attaching certain alleged statements to the 745 email, Brat did not even attempt to confer regarding Exhibit 4 to the motion, which we learned of for the first time after the motion was filed. They say they've already disregarded this, Judge, a long time ago. Last year in July, the court denied a motion because they didn't confer. On November 3rd, the court warned Jack Smith about a notice filing. Says, don't do that. In addition to that, they've repeatedly made meritless arguments. They seek sealing of documents. They seek ex parte proceedings, meaning they just try to bypass everybody and go directly to Judge Cannon. Now, this court warned the office about making sweeping and unsupported claims previously.
Good looking trucks there.
And last month,
love those
the court
chrome
already
wheels.
found that the office had failed to offer a governing legal framework, only making conclusory and unsubstantiated assertions about whatever Jack wants. Now, the Jack office is not campaigning for any office, as far as we're aware, but his prosecutors have pandered to the media and public filings. Trump's defense says this has included gratuitous and prejudicial language, where Brat recently admitted that this was admitted despite the rules. Now, the office has also included lengthy explications of purported facts in public filings. They keep writing stupid things like this in their little high school motions. They say, quote, to set the record straight, and before turning to those arguments from the defense. Garland behaved in a similar fashion when he was making extrajudicial statements in January. He said a speedy trial was necessary. Now, these tactics include a public filing that's threatening you, Judge. They threatened you with frivolous mandamus litigation. They said, we're going to take you up on appeal, Judge Cannon, unless you give us what we want. And also other lawless interlocutory appeals concerning hypothetical jury instructions. The import of this behavior was not lost on Your Honor, Judge. We know you know they did this, and the court appropriately described all this garbage from them as unprecedented and unjust.
Jesus.
On May 19th,
get in front of somebody and hit the fucking brakes. That's so smart.
To express concern over
I'm getting over it. You better let me the fuck over.
The court's concerns included the office's argument that unsealing was appropriate. The court noted that the court was disappointed with Jack's opportunities.
Fucking idiot.
Presented. Now, finally, just last week, in response to another troubling show of tone and demeanor at a hearing, when David Harbach was out there clapping, remember, he was like, Judge, you can't do that to me. And the judge said, just calm down, relax, weirdo. So they say, look, the rules say, Local Rule 88.9, you have to meet and confer. It's an integral part of our adversarial system. Now, they don't talk about sanctions in the rule, but you should still sanction the crap out of them. Jack Smith's office violated the local rules. The court has warned his office repeatedly. There is a pattern of unprofessional conduct in this case. In order to deter such behavior as the case proceeds, the court should strike the motion, make civil contempt findings as to all government attorneys who have participated in this. Go and get them all. I want to know who even edited this. Who ran the spell check on this document and imposed sanctions following an evidentiary hearing to determine what their motives were and their purpose was in filing what they did. It's just media. They just are mad that Trump has a megaphone and they don't, so they just respond in their filings. It's unlawful. Under no circumstances can an email exchange initiated at 5:30 p.m. on a Friday evening
nice signal, asshole.
Any type of meaningful control for President.
Am I the only one that knows how to drive here?
Initiated this on a holiday weekend.
Black Swamp Steel.
What's important in the fact that the office,
fucking
well
asshole,
aware of the proceedings in Trump's trial, took the steps to try to do this when closing arguments were being set to begin in May 28th. In other words, they
there we go. We're in the clear.
We're
going to get over now.
This to try to rush them and gain an advantage. Now, despite that schedule, defense counsel offered to consult with President Trump over the weekend and discussed the motion on Monday, Memorial Day, but the office barely acknowledged that request. So the failure to meaningfully confer is even more troubling.
You know what I should do? I should grab some weeds on the way home.
Together on Wednesday.
Just thought of that.
Now, the office cites in a motion on May 21st, a May 21st social media post. So they knew. So Trump posted posted on Tuesday. They showed up in court on Wednesday, could have addressed it on Wednesday. They didn't. They waited till Friday, knowing that the defense team had summations the following week. If the office truly believed that Trump's constitutionally protected speech really posed the type of imminent threat that they claim in their motion, they should have discussed it with us on Wednesday, not Friday. And this timing is not justified by exigent circumstances either. They've completely failed to substantiate their position here as why this is imminent. As we've noted throughout, Trump and the defense team have great respect for law enforcement agents who do their job with integrity. We have not, will not stand in the way of credible assertions about potential safety risks, but on the other hand, we will not acquiesce to unsupported histrionics from biased and reckless prosecutors who've shown no respect for the First Amendment at all. The court is well aware of the prosecutor's failures in this regard because an extraordinary amount of attention has been devoted to the arguments by Jack's office regarding the need for sealing to protect witness safety. He's been arguing this for a long time. Defense counsel has conferred extensively about redactions. And that process resulted in a bunch of redactions. We invited Jack's office to propose other redactions, but in no time did any of them seek to redact the use of force information.
You got a special going on, I can't pass up.
If they were so concerned about this, idiots. To our knowledge, the unsealing of these materials did not result in credible safety risks to anyone, obviously. Now, Jack's office presented no actual evidence of safety risks either. They just wanted to respond in the media because Trump was obliterating them with the assassination plot revelation. Especially after the office's complete failure to satisfy any of these safety claims, this is pretty troubling. There was no basis for them to suggest some sort of emerging risk like we're all going to die. They filed at 8 p.m. on a Friday. No one who signed the motion, these so-called government prosecutors, could reasonably have expected the court or its staff to act on the application before business hours resume on Tuesday. Nor could Smith himself. Rather, the office plainly filed the motion in pursuit of some other objective, the media, which has not yet been identified, but should be appropriate to sanction them for that. So, for example, the motion was not even styled as an emergency motion. The rules say this is how you file an emergency motion. So they could not have expected the court to even act.
Yeah, as much as I drive, it just, you would think I'd be over it, but
there was no urgent decision coming.
It's hard to get over it.
There's no indication that the motion discussed the application with probation.
Thinking about trading in this car too. I put so many miles on it in such a short time. 3 years, I put 105,000 miles on it.
The Bail Reform Act does not contemplate a modification absent a hearing anyways. And not even Smith and his team dared suggest that the court convene the parties on Memorial Day to address it. So the local rules and the basic professional norms from Jack contemplate Trump would be afforded a reasonable amount of time to respond.
Oh shit, I gotta hit the ATM inside.
Strained and inaccurate claims about urgency. They did not even seek an expedited briefing schedule on this. There were no exigent safety concerns referenced at all. All of this to say, the timing in the motion is bad faith. And finally, while we're not even addressing the merits of this motion about what Trump said or whatever, a few preliminary points are in order. One of the senior officials who authorized the raid,
I'll leave you guys on listening to this,
said he frankly doesn't give a damn about the optics. That is them on record. I don't give a damn about the optics. I don't care if it's shoot half the facility. But now, Jack's office seems to care about those optics very much. Yeah. The motion quotes liberally from D.C. Court's review of the unconstitutional gag order from Chutkan, but fails to address one of the key points. Working in the criminal justice sphere requires some thick skin, unless you're an FBI agent and you're petrified. That Smith is, once again, attacking Trump's campaign speech is conclusively established by the fact that the office attached a campaign email. It's a campaign email! Once disfavored, but now in vogue for prosecutors driven by political animus against Trump, gag orders reflect an extremely serious threat to our constitutional traditions, especially when they're applied to political candidates. The motion goes one step further, however, in seeking to condition Trump's liberty on his compliance with what these government prosecutors want him to believe. Thought police regarding what constitutes fair argument in 2024 should not be dictated by these three prosecutors. The motion is unprecedented. It abuses our manifest. its abuses are manifest. If and when there is an appropriate time, we will forcefully address this on the merits. But for now, the point here, they should not have filed this. The decision by Jax to do so, and do it when it did, cannot be explained in a manner that's consistent with confidence in these proceedings. And so this court should have an evidentiary hearing. We should dig into this and determine where this bias and animus came from, because we're going to add that to our selective and vindictive prosecution filing. For that reason, make these determinations, make civil contempt findings.
Let's pull over here and pick it up.
Because they did not meaningfully
I don't like going into their lobby
why
anymore.
they disregarded your required procedures, Judge Cannon. Good stuff from Emile Beauvais, Todd Blanche, Christopher Keese. Powerful motion because they chronicle all of the other times that Jack Smith has just flagrantly violated the judge's orders. And so Cannon came out and gave them the old backhand. In fact, here is what Cannon said in response. Jack Smith gets slapped. She says, all right away. This is a paperless order denying without prejudice Jack's motion.
I'm not
there will
bad.
be no gag. Why? Lack of meaningful conferral. She says, upon review of the motion, Trump's procedural opposition and the email correspondence that we just the court finds that Jack Smith's pro forma, she puts it in parentheses, conferral, to be wholly lacking in substance.
It's 29,
and
the rest for you.
Professional courtesy.
Thank you, I'll be right back.
She says it should go without saying that meaningful conferral is not a perfunctory exercise. She's not happy about that.
I'm gonna join this right now here.
I think my mom used to say that. It should go without saying. It should go without saying. I don't know. Sorry, Mom. Sufficient time needs to be afforded to permit reasonable evaluation of the requested relief by opposing counsel and to allow for adequate follow-up discussion as necessary about the specific factual and legal basis underlying the motion. This is so even when a party, as you guys did, Jay and Jack, assumes the opposing party will oppose the motion. And it applies with additional force when the relief sought, which here was the gag order, at issue for the first time in this proceeding, is being raised in a procedurally distinct manner. And it implicates, the First Amendment, the Constitution. Now, because the filing of Jack's motion did not adhere to these basic requirements, it is due to be denied without prejudice. Any future non-emergency motions, Jack, that are brought in this case, whether on the topic of release conditions or anything else, shall not be filed absent meaningful, timely, and professional conferral. Now watch this. Moreover, all certificates of conference going forward shall, one, appear in a separate section at the end of the motion.
Lose one
she
chance
says,
to
"I
live
want you to
stream
fill
and
out
we're
this form and attach it
fucked."
to the back, showing me you did it.
That's why I got a
I
backup
want
channel.
embedded in an editorialized.
And most of my
footnote
road rage is on the backup
with your
channel. If
stupid
you
comments.
noticed,
Fill out
I
the
don't get
form
strikes for that.
attached.
I get strikes for fucking
And you must
playing 2 minutes of
specify
some Storm Chasers
in
bullshit.
Objective terms, not like your opinion, bro. Cannon says, I want to know the exact timing, the method,
Hey, Matt,
and
buddy.
the substance of the conferral conducted.
You didn't make it to the poker
So
game
Jay
last
Grant
night,
and Jack Smith
buddy.
just got grounded. Right? Your mom came in, says, you're grounded. Next time you do this, you're going to show me you did it, and you're going to keep a chore log on the refrigerator.
Oh, you don't want the
And
coins,
when you
right?
come
No.
home,
I'm so
this is what
sorry.
you're
I'm so
doing.
used to
And
that's
No worries,
a
no worries.
protocol.
Yeah, no
Right
worries.
here,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna check it off when you do it.
She
I
left a
wanna
dime in
know
there.
When you did your homework,
Dude, I left her. I gave her a
what you
$5
worked
tip.
on, and how long you worked on.
Worried about
We're gonna get
dimes?
those grades up, young man. Same to you, Jack. Start a spreadsheet.
Cool little bag they gave me. Ah, fuck. My
Failure
license.
to comply will result in problems. And I also want, if requested by Trump's
smoke a
counsel,
pack.
I want no more than 200 words.
All I got was 4
back in
pre-rolls.
mouth from the opposing
The good
side
shit.
on the
Stop,
subject
good, thank you.
of the conferral. Again, in objective terms. I don't want your opinion. Failure to comply
You
with
sleeping?
this, Jack
Yeah.
and Jay,
Likely
these
story.
requirements may
I get it.
result in sanctions. Ooh, they're in trouble.
You see.
Ooh, they're grounded.
Pretty good deal.
In light of
$25
this
for
order, the
4
court
pre-rolls
determines to deny without prejudice Trump's motion. So Trump
of
doesn't
Banana
get
Bash
sanctions and
infused
withhold
pre-roll.
that.
39.8%.
Judge Cannon just said, Jack Smith, you have to keep a spreadsheet.
Got
log,
4 of them
and
for
I wanna know what
$25.
you meant and what you talked about. Bring your doctor's note next time into this courtroom. So absolutely,
We'll save that
beautiful and
for later.
exactly right.
Nice
Now,
little bag
of
they
course,
give it to you.
people like Andrew Weissman. Let's see how long we can listen to this one for. But he
This one was
says
kind of kooky though.
this is, let's see how long. How long do you think? 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? Let's see.
In order to be able to curb what is happening with Trump, is there a fear that there's going to be a First Amendment issue that's going to be raised by Trump's defense?
Well, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I disagree with Bradley. I think this is something that is absolutely outrageous. I think this is the kind of thing that is going to be when she ultimately denies when Judge Cannon denies Jack Smith's application when it gets refiled. I think this will be taken up to the 11th Circuit. This is something that the government obviously cares deeply about. Indeed, the Attorney General of the United States talked about how this was a dangerous and false misrepresentation by the former president.
I do believe in coincidence
Endangering
too.
law
but-
enforcement is the kind of thing.
Yeah, cul-de-sac.
that is
There's
the
like
reason
a salt
that,
place right
you
next to
go
it
into
for the
government
highway,
to
'cause this is right off
try
the
and
highway.
prevent and to make sure that you are upholding the people's safety, including those in law enforcement.
Man, fucking Callahan's fucking stream keeps going up and down, up and down. I keep getting notifications on Kick that's going up and down.
Actually go and kill someone. But
I think Kick doesn't hold the stream as long as YouTube does.
Secret Service or Trump's private
It just
security.
ends it and then restarts it.
By some freak show force here. That's
Ooh, Jared, not a good roll.
Plain flows. We can't even identify who these people are. What happens if something pops off? There was a use.
Jared is fucking taking off like a fucking jackrabbit with this fucking new contest though.
in the document. Now they say it's copy and pasted from every other stupid document and search warrant.
I get it. I believe me. If you to meet me in person, I let a lot of shit just fly.
Yeah, they do.
But it's a nice stress reliever. I don't actually act on my road rage. I just verbalize it. I mean, I'll flip them off and shit like that.
Garland and the rest of them now want to engage in the court.
I would never jump out of my car unless it was just to defend me.
Respond that way.
Me so.
It's not ethical, and it is being done because they're losing this case. He says that this is all going to be appealed.
Wouldn't
And
ram
Judge
anybody.
Kennedy-
I don't brake check people.
I don't think that's the case at all. In fact, it feels like Jack Smith is on trial in this case. We just had a whole litany of all his unethical misconduct and Kennedy's.
Inside, well, it's the most efficient way to do it, I guess.
Issues about selective and vindictive prosecution and many other issues. So we'll be here, of course, continuing to cover this. So thanks for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. We got great content on this topic and many more, including in our next segment.
Yeah, drafting.
We've got to see what the Supreme Court has done, because SCOTUS has totally snubbed and given the old slap to the Democrats who demanded to meet with SCOTUS. SCOTUS says, get the heck out of here. So that's coming up in this next segment. Be sure to check that out. Here is that very segment, my friends. And we're going to carry on. We're probably going to have to open up another locals tube in a minute. Let's see how far we get. Starting with SCOTUS. And this is where we're
Right.
at.
You know, they'll win every
Democrats
time.
get slapped by the Supreme Court. Judge Toledo, Judge
These
Roberts.
small cars these days are mostly plastic. And I'm actually, the one I'm looking at is actually a little bit smaller version of this. And this isn't even very big. The Trailblazer, that Trax, I kind of like the look of that Chevy Trax. I've always been a Ford person, but the last 3 cars I've had have been Chevys.
Some people
They've
saw
just
those
been,
flags
knock
and
on wood,
you're an insurrectionist, and you
pretty
have to
reliable.
recuse yourself from the Supreme Court on the Trump cases because you were helping him steal the country.
Yeah.
And this has been
That's why I pack all the time. I ain't going to get shot by somebody for flipping them off.
Trump
always packing. But I don't brandish it against other drivers.
Two Supreme Court justices just ripped him in response. Toledo responds.
I'll show you guys, though.
Responds,
You've seen it before, I think.
Alberta. Them anyways using the DOJ and other government tools. So we'll talk about that. Plotting. But here is the letter that came out from the Democrats. I'll share this with you quickly. It's on May 23rd from these weird Democrats.
There's usually no road rage to do with bikers. Bikers are respectful.
United States Senate. You see,
Bikers are some of the best, safest, regular, bikers, not these stupid
racist club.
crotch rocket
So
bikers.
those are the two senators.
The
who
lane
sent this
split.
letter.
And I don't even mind lane splitting, because I understand if they're air cooled, they got to. But the ones that lane split at normal speeds.
There was a flag on Judge Alito's yard associated with the J6 attack on the Capitol. And we urge you to take appropriate steps to ensure that Judge Alito will recuse himself
Oh shit.
from any cases.
Is lane disappearing?
related to Trump.
Oh. Right lane closed ahead.
Including the question of
Oh,
president's
shit.
immunity from prosecution.
These big trucks are going to have a hard time.
Upcoming decision. We also review our calls for SCOTUS to adopt.
Man, that thing came out of nowhere.
Code of conduct, and this is the big ask. We respectfully ask for a meeting. It didn't even say respectfully. I inserted that.
Ways heavy traffic.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Hiding officer of
Heavy traffic.
Sure, I reported heavy traffic.
He said by displaying or permitting a display of a symbol of Stop the Steal flag, which was a symbol of a flag that George Washington used. They say he violated his code of conduct. He created reasonable doubt as to his impartiality in certain proceedings, which is a wild.
Sorry, I don't
Do you think
understand.
that they would apply that same.
Yeah,
standard
Google's
to
not too
Judge
smart
McConnell,
sometimes.
Judge Kaplan, Judge Chuck.
Ooh, I'm glad you didn't wake her up just
I
by
don't think
saying
so.
that.
According to photos and contemporaneous reports, there was a flag for several days at the Alito house. It was the Appeal to Heaven flag. And you've seen this floating around.
I've never seen this, though. People
got
actually
the
getting over way ahead of time like
Pine
this.
tree,
It's
I
awesome.
believe. Is it pine? That represents New England. And
People
it
being
has
respectful.
Appeal to Heaven, which references John Locke. So Appeal to Heaven
Without any
is
cones.
an homage to that. John Locke.
This
and
gonna, this
New
guy
England.
can't help it, though. He's gonna want to pass
was displayed
everybody.
outside
Fucking
another
New York
justice's
driver.
resident. These flags were part of the Stop the Steal campaign.
You can't help it.
And so in his statement,
It's got to be a douche.
Alito said that the flag was placed there by Miss Alito.
What's up, Oklahoma?
And Alito also spoke to Fox News and indicated that the flag was flown upside down in response.
They must be
to his
patching on this
neighbor's
side now,
display of
too.
Political signage, and so they are upset. They say the code of conduct says it's
Damn, Chopper, what a roll.
And federal law requires the disqualification of the Supreme Court justice. Wow. So they're going to try to throw them out using the law. We'll see what Raskin says. SCOTUS also prohibits its employees, who are employees, from engaging in partisan activity. That prohibition
for sure, Jody.
also applies broadly. And so by displaying this flag, the Appeal to Heaven flag, Alito
Why don't you go
actively
ask Siri?
engaged in political activity, failed to avoid the appearance of impropriety. He created a reasonable doubt. And these are only the recent instances. In fact, in 2023, he opined about the constitutionality of certain legislation in the Senate. And so Thomas has also participated in J6 stuff. His wife's involvement is also problematic. And he failed to disclose debt forgiveness and other things. The rule of law is founded on these propositions. And so we call for Justice Alito to recuse himself immediately. Sincerely, Dick Durbin and racist Senator Whitehouse. We now have a response. So, Judge Alito, from his chambers on May 29th, responds to these two senators. He says, all right, dear Honorable so-called Richard and Sheldon. Says, dear Senators, this is in response to your letter to me, requesting that I take in steps to ensure that I recuse myself from this upcoming case. Now, as the court has pointed out, individual justices rather than the court decide recusal issues. So we appreciate you writing to Chief Justice Roberts, but you should. I am therefore responding directly to your letter. In it, you claim 2 incidents involving the flying of the flags that created an appearance of impropriety that requires my recusal. Here's what the code says. A justice is presumed impartial and has an obligation to sit unless disqualified. A justice should disqualify himself or herself in a proceeding in which their impartiality might reasonably be questioned, where an unbiased and reasonable person who is aware of all relevant circumstances would doubt that the justice could fairly discharge his or her duties. Now, the 2 incidents you cite there, Sheldon, do not meet the conditions for recusal. I have therefore an obligation to sit under the rules. Now, the first incident you cited in your letter concerns the flying of an upside-down flag outside the house in Virginia where my wife and I reside. In considering whether this event requires recusal, an unbiased and reasonable person would take into account the following facts. As I've already stated
Chopper.
publicly, I had
What was
nothing
that? What's that? All
whatsoever to do
that? All
with
that
flying
about,
that
Matt?
flag.
That's nuts.
I was not even aware of the upside-down flag until it was called to my attention. As soon as I saw it, I asked my wife to take it down. But for several days, she refused. That's spicy.
Oh, that's crazy.
Household.
Because it might flood.
Honey, you have to take that down. I'm a Supreme Court judge. Well, we've got our country stolen. You know? Stays up. All right. I guess I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. Even Supreme Court justices are sleeping on the couch. My wife and I own our Virginia home jointly. It's hers. She's a strong, independent woman. Don't you love that, Democrats? No, they don't, actually. They don't. They say that, but they don't. They love dumb, compliant women. She therefore has the legal right to use the property as she sees fit. And there were no additional steps that I could have taken to have my flag taken down more promptly. What do you want me to do? Go get an injunction against her?
Oh yeah, it was so nice. Because I had to continue working during COVID, man. I was on the road quite a bit.
But I note that she was.
It was so nice to be just cruising down the freeway.
Due to a very nasty neighborhood dispute.
100 miles an hour.
I had no involvement.
And I don't normally do that much.
A house on the street displayed a sign.
But you look down and you just be hauling ass.
Okay, so her rotten liberal neighbors are monsters. And a man who was living in the house at the time trailed her all the way down the street and berated her in my presence using foul language, including what I regard as the vilest epithet that can be addressed to a woman. I think we know what that one is. It says, my wife is a private citizen. She possesses the same First Amendment rights as every other American. She makes her own decisions, and I have always respected her right to do so. Now, she has made many sacrifices to accommodate my services on the Supreme Court, amazing wife, including the insult of having to endure numerous loud, obscene, personally insulting protests in front of our home that continue to this day and that the DOJ does nothing about, and now threaten to escalate. I am confident that a reasonable person who's not motivated by political or ideological considerations or a desire to affect the outcome of Supreme Court cases like you would conclude that the events recounted above do not meet the applicable standard for recusal. I am therefore required to reject your stupid request, member. Now, the second incident concerns a flag bearing the legend, "An Appeal to Heaven," that flew in our backyard of our vacation home, summer 2023. I recall that my wife did fly that flag for some period of time, but I do not remember how long it flew. And what is most relevant here is I had no involvement in the decision to fly that flag. My wife is fond of flying flags. I am not. My wife was solely responsible for having flagpoles put up at our residence and our vacation home, and has flown a wide variety of flags over the years, which I actually think is super cool. I think that's just awesome. That's amazing. Like, I would love to go visit Mrs. Alito and hear her tell me about all of her flags. I could spend the whole day doing that. I'm not even kidding. let's have some lemonade. Tell me about that one. Tell me about that one. What's that one? Look, okay, let me Wikipedia that. All day. I could spend all day. In addition to the American flag, she has flown other patriotic flags, including a favorite flag thanking veterans. There's a story to all of these. You read out where they come from, how long have they been around, and they're like symbolism. They're like flashcards for success and meaning and purpose, and just great. College flags, flags supporting sports teams, state and local flags, flags of nations from which ancestors of family members came from, flags of places we visited, seasonal flags, religious flags. I was not familiar with an appeal to heaven flag when my wife flew it. She may have mentioned that it dates back to the American Revolution. It does. And I assumed she was flying it to express a religious and patriotic message. I was not aware of any connection between this historic flag and the Stop the Steal movement. And neither was my wife. She did not fly it to associate herself with that or any other group. And the use of an old historic flag by a new group does not necessarily drain that flag of all other meanings. As I said in reference to the other flag event, my wife is an independently minded private citizen. She makes her own decisions, and I honor her right to do so. Our vacation home was purchased with money she inherited from her parents and is titled in her name. It is a place away from Washington where she should be able to relax. A reasonable person who's not motivated by TDS or political or ideological considerations or a desire to affect the outcome of the Supreme Court would conclude that this event does not meet the applicable standard for recusal. I am therefore duty-bound
He said duty.
your recusal request. Sincerely yours,
This guy.
Samuel Alito. So I take your request and reject it. You can now shove it and get out of my office. So, very nice letter. Standing up for his wife, Mrs. Alito, flying her flags proudly. Boy, let them flop in the wind. A very nice letter from a great Supreme Court justice and an amazing husband and an amazing wife. What a nice household. So we also have now Chief Justice Roberts responding in kind. Now that Judge Alito gave Durbin and White House the old proverbial backhand, Chief Justice Roberts settles his case as well. Says, Dear Derby and Whitey, thank you for your laugh. I just snotted on myself because I said Durbin and Whitey. Oh gosh. Golly. Alright, hopefully got that cleared up. Sometimes I just crack myself up and blow my own gaskets. Oh gosh, in the middle of a live stream. Derby and Whitey in the house. Oh gosh. Snotting all over myself here on a live stream. Alright, don't tell anybody about that. Alright, we're back. Alright, Derby and Whitey are now getting a letter from Chief Justice Roberts in regard to concerning any justice's participations in pending cases. The members of the Supreme Court recently reaffirmed the practice we followed for 235 years, pursuant to which individual justices decide recusal issues. See our rules. It's my understanding that Justice Alito has sent you a letter addressing this subject. I haven't even read it. Don't even care. I must respectfully decline your request for a meeting. I don't want to have lunch with you. As noted in my letter to Chairman Durbin last April, apart from ceremonial events, only on rare occasions in our nation's history has a sitting Chief Justice met with legislators, even in a public setting like a committee hearing, with members of both major parties present. Separation of power concerns and the importance of preserving judicial independence against such appearances caution against doing this. Moreover, the format proposed, a meeting with leaders of only one party who have expressed an interest in matters currently pending before the court, simply underscores that participating in such a meeting would be inadvisable. Also copied Lindsey Graham on that one. Signed Chief Justice Roberts. So get out of here. We're not meeting with you losers, all right? Stop your whining and leave us alone. We have that not happening. Raskin will not leave them alone. In fact, he wants to force them to be recused. Here's his stupid opinion piece in the New York Times. He says how to force Justices Alito and Thomas to recuse themselves no matter what. He says many people have gloomily accepted the wisdom that they're going to be on the case, but they're wrong. It seems unfathomable that they could be on the case. Everyone assumes nothing could be done, but guess what? Maybe that we can. He says the DOJ, including the U.S. Attorney for the D.C. District of Columbia, an appointed U.S. Special Counsel, all of whom were involved in different ways in criminal prosecutions, can petition the other 7 justices to require them to recuse themselves. Says that the Attorney General of the United States can invoke U.S. Code. He says the Constitution and the federal statute, this is so dumb, mandating the judicial qualification. So they're going to use a statute that Congress passed, and then the executive will also use the Constitution, the Due Process Clause, to say that they have to recuse. Says the Constitution has come into play in several recent SCOTUS decisions. It requires biased judges throughout the federal system to recuse themselves, saying the Constitution and Congress and the statutes, which are not in the Constitution, the statutes are subordinate law. Constitution reigns supreme. The Constitution and the federal laws under it is the supreme law of the land. Yeah, but as long as they don't conflict with the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Federal laws do not override that, no matter how hard they try. So they want to, to bootstrap the federal law. They're going to use the Due Process Clause to say the federal statutes justify forced recusal. They say this is a recusal statute. If triggered, it's not a friendly suggestion. It's Congress's command. It's binding on the justices, just like the Due Process Clause is. Oh, God, so dumb. He's so dumb. The Supreme Court cannot disregard this law. Okay, tell them that. Ignoring it would trespass on the constitutional separation of powers because the justices would essentially be saying that they have the power to override a congressional command. They can't.
They can't.
It's not in the Constitution. They're obligated to override a congressional command. They think that they're Congress, they can just pass the statute and it overrides everything.
So this congressman thinks Congress can tell
with the Constitution
a different branch
what the court does. The court
what
says
the rules are. Oh, it cut out. You gotta start a new one. That's funny. That's funny. Start a new one. Start a new one. No, this last one's not even on there. Callahan for our last 5 minutes. Oh, okay, here it is. Trump speaks. Not started, it says. Get in here.
Basic stuff in order to get your motion over the line. And Trump addressed America, coming out, explaining we're going to continue to win. We've raised a boatload of money. We're going to see if there's any fallout, repercussion to some of what he said with witnesses, gag order stuff. We'll see if that is another thing that we have to deal with on Monday. But 3 great segments, my friends. I saw some awesome donos and super chats coming in. As per usual, we're going to go hang out at watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party today. We'd love to come see you, join us. We're going to hang out and debrief everything we talked about. But now let us hear from you. We had some great donos that came in, and we left off with Rick D. What's up, Rick D? Says, I was already a member, but for some reason, YouTube canceled it, so I had to rejoin. And we're glad you're back. Glad you made it back. Good to see you, Rick D. We got DJ Roach became a new member. Good to see you, DJ. Welcome aboard as a new member. This one from Night of Knee, another YouTube member in the house. Good to see you. We'll have member-only morning streams, but we will not have a member-only stream tomorrow morning. But we will have a member-only post tomorrow morning. Your boy's going on a hike bright and early, 6:30. So we'll make a post for our membos. It'll be more like a walk and talk, kind of a hike and talk is what we'll be doing tomorrow. So that'll be coming up, membos. You'll see that in the morning because we're going to be on the trail at like 6:30 a.m. It's going to be great. All right, so we love our membos.
Oh, I know. The chat isn't keeping up on the...
It was infuriating watching MSNBC.
Oh, it's not even moving.
We played just a little snippet of what they were talking about, but it was certainly grotesque. And it's weird how they get so excited about this. Don't they have anything else they're excited about? We got this one from Marion H. What's up, Marion? Says, President Trump now more than ever. I will be donating on the regular between now and November. Stand up, speak up, people. Stop being afraid. I'm with you on that one, Marion. Yeah, I'd love for people to, if we're going to speak up, now's the time. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but the people who are recoiling from you probably shouldn't be in your life anyways.
That's nuts.
Your values are misaligned, you know. There's a lot of great people.
And the percentages to actually...
Rich or poor, black or white, old or young, take a moment and bathe this man in prayer. Great comment from Emax. He did look a little tired. He did sound like, a little low energy, to use a Trump term. But you could imagine, he just got done with about 4 weeks of trial, been traveling all over the place, facing a lot, campaigning in the middle of it all. So I think we see some some humanity to him as well. We see some of the human side. It takes a toll. This stuff takes a toll. And that shows us, I think it's authentic. There's some authenticity behind it. I honestly don't know how he's even functional after an onslaught like this. It's wild. He's got a lot of stamina, no doubt. Shri, what's up in the house? Says, yet most in the MSM are still trying to convince everyone that people would stop supporting Trump if he was convicted. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I saw Karl Rove had a headline, well, maybe it'll take off a couple percentage points here and there. I don't know that it's going to cause a massive wave. I think we also saw some polls where they were saying people are largely checked out. Nobody really believes it one way or the other. You're basically baked in. If you're voting Biden, you're voting Biden. If you're voting Trump, you're voting Trump. There's a small sliver of independents. They're not really paying attention. They're Trump trialed out. We'll see. But I think as more of this goes on, it'll sour. Even the felony thing will sour the country's not getting better between now and November, in my opinion. I think that the trends, the trajectory show that they are just bracing for impact. So as that continues on, this felony moniker, the felony label, the sting of it, I think is also going to evaporate. What's up, Frank L? Morning, counselor. Ted Cruz, aka Zodiac Killer, for Attorney General. Ted Cruz for AG? Oh, I could see it. I could see it. If we got Lion Ted, Lion, Lion Ted, then that would be good. We got from Frank, what's up? We got Catherine Rex is in the house, says, I want to get people on board with me and contribute to my ethics complaint campaign. They may choose to ignore someone from Congress, but I doubt they can ignore hundreds of ethics complaints against Judge and Bragg. Well, I think if you have standing for it, I mean, if you're in New York and you're upset about what's happening, you're watching this, I would never encourage people to like bomb something unnecessarily. But if you're in that jurisdiction, I've got some real concerns about this judge and what's happening in my jurisdiction. I think that's something that's worth making known. What's going on? That was from Catherine Rex. We got Andrew Richardson says, love your messages and show, but why do you have a moderator celebrating this decision? One might consider this hierarchy. Well, Zulu, I think Zulu, I don't really know what Zulu's deal is, to be honest. Zulu's been around a long time, and I have a hard time. I think Zulu's kind of poking us, is really what it is. I think he's kind of just poking us. So largely, I think probably to irritate people, to kind of irritate everybody in the chat. I think he serves a very good purpose there, to just make sure that someone's always a little bit like, what the hell's going on in the chat? You know, it's a confusing situation. But Zulu's been around for a long time. We love Zulu, and we're grateful to have Zulu. And yeah, see, it's very agitated. It's good to be a little agitated, you know? What the hell is this guy doing here? Yeah, it's good. It's good. It adds a little balance to the chat. We love Zulu. Just watching the chat. Just Zulu here says it's to desensitize. Yeah, it's to desensitize. What's up? Okay, there we go. See? Yeah, there's some good comments in the chat. All right, we love Zulu. Good to see you, Andrew. It's good to see you. All right, it's to poke everybody. It's to be a little pokey.
I think it's Zulu Mind Me is what his name
It's
is.
good for us to get a little
Yeah, it's not that
agitated.
Probably not the same
sometimes.
guy.
All right, where did I go? Where did this go? Catherine Rex, Andrew Richardson. We got Leon L. says Trump is the world's favorite president. Trump is the world's favorite president.
Wow.
USA.
Look at all these fucking cars. Man, I don't think I've ever seen this many cars in this lot.
House. 5 months as a membo says, have a great weekend, everyone. Good to see you, Sri. Thanks for being a membo for 5 months. Glad to have you here. We've got this one, Jason S. Another YouTube member.
Oh, yeah?
In the house. Ray Ronk is here. Thanks for keeping us sane. Membo for
Oh, no, it's
8 months.
Donut Mind Me.
Thanks
Zulu?
for being a membo for 8 months.
What, Liquid Zulu? I don't know. He's in his YouTube channel. I watch his locals. I don't watch his
Miss Ree in the house
YouTube.
says, riddle me this. How is P. Diddy gets military-style home raid for trafficking and the video, but no charges filed, but President Trump is now a felony for bookkeeping? Make it make sense again. Hard to do it. Yeah, hard to do it.
All right,
It feels
guys.
like
I
a
gotta
lot
go
of those
in and
other
work
things
for a couple hours.
covered up.
When I go live again, it'll be on the driving stream because I want to save one. Look at this. They were giving away to the veterans Girl Scout cookies. They're probably like year-old Girl Scout cookies.
With Trump, they had to
Check the date on them.
create
Yeah,
a
they expire
framework
September 1st, but they'll be eaten
that
before then.
enabled this
I've never even had this
documentation
kind here.
that they manipulated it.
Indulgent
By saying
brownie,
The object offense was, even though it's a misdemeanor, it's enough to
inspired
turn a
cookies with
misdemeanor
caramel
into a felony
flavored and a
because
hint
it
of
was
sea salt.
the predicate crime. Wild times. So that was from Miss Reed.
And some do-si
Let's
doughs,
see what
the
else
peanut
we
butters.
got. This one was coming in. I see K Bean is jumping in to help with clips.
No.
Thank you, K Bean. K
Be
Bean
adding
is
that
joining
to my
us
snack drawer
from
there at work.
Brittany Z.
We'll take
sharing
those
this
home.
one, saying here, huh? I love the smack hand drum intro, the energy. Yeah, we get all in sync. Whoa, we get in sync, right?
So-
What's up, Brittany? Good to see you.
I'll see you
Member
guys
for 2
later.
months. First month's the hardest.
I'll probably jump in
We
the
got
Callahan
Jennifer's
stream
house,
in the
as
chat
Michael
there
Allen
while
Hughes
I'm
was asking
working
if
for the
Trump
next
could
couple
appeal
hours.
this today.
All right, peace. Love you guys.
No, the case is
No-
not over.
no
yet. So he
all
needs to be
homo.
sentenced.
No
So
all homo.
judgment
I remember
and
that one.
sentence, then you appeal at the conclusion of this. But
All right, guys. Love
he's
you.
making
Thanks
his
for hanging
lunch
out.
for appeal. So, for example,
Peace.
at the conclusion of the verdict, they even moved for a judgment of acquittal.